if you're like, okay, is this worth the next hour of him yapping? Like, what am I going to get out of this? I like to do something called the 90-second test. So I'm going to start my watch. Here's my claim to you. You don't actually need more video. Like you have Google Drive, Dropbox, wherever it's saved. You have a bunch of video, either yours or your clients. What you really need is you need to do more with the video that you have. What does that look like? I don't want to be a video editor. I don't want to live in Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, Descript, any of these programs, but I want to be good enough that I can make useful things. Clips, social posts, threads, newsletters, articles, etc. If you're here for the automation craziness, I'm going to tease the automation craziness. You're going to have one of two reactions when you see something like this. Either overwhelmed, like, whoa, what is this? Or if you're like me, you're excited and you're like, whoa, what is this? Show me. And I have a link to one of these that I'll show. I'm going to speak to both. Like, I just need to start versus I want to go wild and do something really bespoke. So if you zoom out and think about what you can get from video, we're going to start with this question. What's your pillar content format? So you might be working at an agency and you have a client who's like, hey, we need more ads. We need you to do our YouTube channel, whatever. You can pick one content format and say, just from this, here's what we can get. I'm going to use the example of a video podcast. You could do a Zoom meeting, you could do a YouTube video, you could do any kind of long form. It could be someone speaking at a conference. But from a video podcast, I will show you zoomed out. Here's everything that we can get. And I like to break these down starting with, okay, what long form video use can we get out of that? Well, we can put it to YouTube, Spotify, and X. You could go into all the socials, but that's fine. A lot of you already know how to do that. You can also clip from the long form and say, here's the short form stuff, put that on all of my vertical video channels that you're using or your client wants. I'll show you some really efficient ways to do that. But I think some of the sawdust that gets left behind, hey, we're doing a podcast, we're talking. What are we going to do with that text? We can just go repurpose that into any or all of these formats. And then you have short form text, a lot of the same places. You have some good one-liners, some good posts that you could put out. But besides the transcript, the words, you also have the audio. So if you're not a podcaster, my favorite way to distribute the audio is transistor.fm because it basically says, hey, put it everywhere people listen to podcasts besides the YouTube, the Spotify, the X, wherever you're putting video, because a lot of people still only listen. If you're filming a long form video, why would you not have a podcast? It's 2 extra clicks. It's 1 extra file. Just put it there because some person says, I only listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Well, if you're only on YouTube, you're missing them. Then you could take the audiograms and you could put B-roll, you could put talking head clips, whatever, over that. And now you can go clip stuff just with audio. One of my favorite ways, and I'll show you an example, you can also take images where you take a frame and essentially screenshot the video that you recorded. You can make graphics for socials. I don't have a name for this content style, so in the chat, here's the first thing I'd like to hear. I'm going to call it a caption compilation, but there's someone smarter than me. Have you seen this content format where people take essentially screenshots and lay them out with quotes? So just like you'd have captions if it was a video, but this is just going to be one image. I'm calling that for now a caption compilation. Does anybody have a better name for that content format? Or am I crazy that this is like one of the new things people are doing,
You
especially on
coined it,
LinkedIn and
Aaron.
X?
That's it. It's a thing now.
I don't know. I don't in my brain that's what it made sense to call. Well, think of this. If you filmed someone giving a speech, that's what this one is from, and froze 3 different frames, like basically her eyes or head are pointed different ways, and then just put the text on there as if it was a caption, you can take a 15 or a 20-minute video and hit all of this. You just need a system to be able to do it. Like, how do I get all of that without spending my entire day doing it? So that's the 90-second test. That's where we're going to go. An example of this problem that I dealt with a couple months back, a group came to me and said, "Hey, we have a bunch of podcasters. All they're doing is audio podcasts. They want to create more content. Can you help teach them how to do that?" The problem was I got 20 minutes and I can't teach them how to prompt and I can't teach them N8N and all this crazy stuff in 20 minutes. So I sat there and I racked my brain. And if you're one of the people who's like, I just want to start doing automations, but I'm not super technical, you can use this. But if you're the advanced person who's like, oh, I know what an API key is and I know which model is best for which thing, you can still use this because your clients are not you. Your clients don't know how to get a Google Cloud API key. At least mine don't. Like I barely know how to do that. So the answer that I came up with was I'm going to make a really simple custom GPT. You could do this in anything that's shareable. The purpose of it is now I want to reuse the transcript because I have 32 minutes of my partner and I talking. Why would I have to go write a blog post from a blank screen or a LinkedIn article staring at a cursor blinking in Google Docs? So you guys can use this too, and the link will be in my takeaway. Here's what I think is unique. One of the contractors who built custom GPTs, the product for OpenAI, did a webinar. There's no recording. I could never find it. And he said, hey, a common mistake is people put all of this information in the system prompt. So something like 8,000 characters of instructions you can give a custom GPT. When I was making them, I was like, 7,800 characters is good. And what he taught me completely changed how I make custom tools, but more importantly, it made them accessible to clients like these podcasters who don't know the basics of AI. What it does is it uses memory files that are invoked from a slash command. So this is going to sound complicated, but it's not. And James can back me up here if he wants to chime in. Like just seeing someone do it, you'll say, "Oh, I could totally do that too, even if this sounds complicated." Instead of having my clients go in and say, I need you to write me an X thread that's this many characters that has a CTA, they don't know that stuff, but they can type slash social. So let's try this live and see how we do. Oh man, it's going to make me do it in a different window because I'm on GPT Enterprise. Okay. Thank you, Comet Browser. Let's see how fast I can get into it here. Oh my goodness. Podcast repurposer. Let's see if this will let me use it. If not, then I'm going to give it I'm going to give it to you guys with the link and let you use it. Will this let me add a file? Okay, wonderful. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm going to take the transcript from that same episode that we were looking at, and it's just a TXT, like a text file. I'll hide my sidebar. And here's how this GPT works. So if you want a simple one to make for yourself, this is the way to do it. But if you're making them for other people who are not experts, here's one of the starter texts I put here is slash menu to learn what I can help with. So that's the prompt. I'm glad this is working because I was worried when I first got that pop-up. It's taking the text file of my transcript and telling me, here's what I can do with it. Here's what I need for you. I am certain that any client you're making marketing materials for could answer these questions and prompt with just a slash. So let's say I'm going to pick really simple ones. Teachers who are interested in career changes or career pivots, check out our website. And I'm just voice prompting here, so you don't have to listen to me type. Let's do a blog based on this. Another thing that it's not perfect at, but I've learned to use slash commands for, is essentially a slider bar. So anybody who's tried to do social media content with any AI tool, I don't care if it's Claude, GPT, Gemini, it goes crazy with emojis, hashtags, and then yes, often M dashes. I like to put slash commands for things like emojis. Let's try just doing slash blog. You'll see the total amount of prompting that this user is doing is almost nothing. I'm just going to
Hey,
say
Aaron, while
yes.
you're getting that to work, if I could just surface a couple of questions. Dennis asked, how is this different or better than Notebook LLM?
Yeah, here's the core problem with Notebook LM is sharing notebooks is a giant pain. I am not a huge Chat GPT fan, but I'll say this about platforms and models. Any of them are good if you can figure out how to use them. Like there's nothing that's bad. The real key for me was how can I share this with people? And if you've used Notebook LM, it's amazing. I use it personally all the time. However, it's still a huge pain to share with other people. And if you're sharing it with them, letting them edit it or tweak it for their own use is pretty much impossible. So I do love Notebook LM. The reason I built a lot of things in custom GPTs like this one is because one, that's where my customers were. Like everyone I know has a GPT account. It might be free, but they know how to log in. It's on their phone. The other one is it's as easy as saying, "Oh, if you want to use this, here's a link." And then anybody that I could Slack or email that to types in the link and goes, "Cool, I can now use your tool." Notebook LM still is not very good at sharing. Any other questions that we want to surface before we look at this output?
Yeah, Mike and V both asked questions about the slash something. So the slash something needs to be in the top of the memory file for the functionality to work. And you define those slash commands in the custom GPT system prompt.
Yes, that is a spectacular question. So I screenshotted that. I was hoping somebody would ask. Basically, what I do is I'll lay out things on a whiteboard and like I just use sticky notes here and say, okay, what commands do I want to put in here? Let's see if I can get the zoom how I want it. Okay, well, good enough to read. And I basically say, okay, this is going to have 6 commands. It's going to have a menu. So anytime someone opens it and says, what can this do? These are word for word the instructions in there. So like these are really short and they're just markdown files, but honestly, it doesn't matter. Like any kind of plain text will work. And it's going to tell them I can do slash social, blog, newsletter, show notes, or emoji. And then I just wrote out what each of those are. So if the user says slash social, these are the different options it gives you and the instructions that it has. Here's why this works. So if you're one of the advanced people, I don't know why I cannot. I'm going to try refreshing this tab just so I can scroll a little bit better. If you're one of the advanced people, you're like, yeah, I get it, but why would I build my automation like this with slash commands? The thing that I learned is you don't need it to read those other 5 slash commands. When someone does slash social, those don't matter. And that context window is getting used up on things that you don't even want it to look at. So what you're really doing is you're breaking out instructions to say, only look at this when the user says slash that thing. Here we go. And then the system prompt, like just the instructions in the GPT, is a few hundred characters. You're a podcast repurposer. Your mission is to make it clear what the user can do. Here's the commands. When the command is invoked, look at that memory file, and then you just name the memory file the slash command. I don't know if that specifically answers the question about the system prompt, but like these are word for word the memory files in that GPT. Um, the main takeaway here is this. You have a person who made a podcast. How are you using the transcript? And do you want to be the person responsible for running all of this stuff? Or do you want to take what you know, like how to do slash commands in a GPT, and just give them the link? So you can monetize this however you want, because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in here, and that's one of the cool things about being an entrepreneur is you just like make stuff up. You can be like, hey, I'll make one of these just for your podcast and give you the link, and that's going to cost you X dollars. And then it's yours forever, and I don't have to support you. Like, I don't upload transcripts, I don't proofread stuff. I just help you by saying slash blog, get a really good blog post from basic commands. Like, you don't have to know how to prompt. And the thing that really endeared me to this way of building automations, social media will show you crazy workflows like the one I'm going to show next. And there's tons of hype, and a lot of us are nerds that are interested, but those are not practical. Slash commands. So let's say this person also wants to do a social post from just a few characters. And it's gonna always ask them questions. Like if you can just answer these. So let's say LinkedIn post period, a series of 3 posts period. And then just to show, the slash command emoji is a scale from 0 to 100, and there's examples in the system prompt. I think it says something like emoji level 100 is a teenager on Snapchat, just way over the top that no one would ever want to use. But this is the power here. Like anyone can upload a text file and do that much prompting. It's not even whole sentences. So just reiterating, the power of this style of building automations is the world's lowest tech podcaster can now write a series of 3 LinkedIn posts based exactly on their podcast transcript just by following these commands. Now, say you go, I want emojis, but 95 was obviously ridiculous, and I would hope no one would post to LinkedIn like that. You can just do slash emoji and it's out of 100. So 10 should be like a few per post. Yeah, this is pretty good. Like there's one arrow, one pin. It's like a tasteful emoji. So you could put scales in there for hashtags, for M dashes, like whatever you want to do.